Manchester United with some footballing legends, John Giles and Clinton Morrison. If you and your mates would like to join us there, you can get your tickets right now at offtheball.com/events. Terms and conditions apply, and always remember to drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie. So John Giles will be with us in Dublin on Saturday evening, but he's on the phone now. Evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
So obviously only one place to start. Liverpool's 3-0 victory over Manchester City last night. Just how good did you feel Liverpool were in the opening 45 minutes?
Well, I think they played exceptionally well. I obviously took advantage of a very, very poor performance from Manchester City. So I think obviously Manchester City contributed to their own downfall, but Liverpool had to take advantage of it, and they did it, and they did it very, very well.
We've been seeing pictures all day of the atmosphere outside Anfield and the greeting that the Manchester City players, if you could call it that, received on the bus on the way in, and the bus ended up being damaged. Do you feel that might have had some effect on the Manchester City players psychologically? I
would be very surprised if it did, Nathan. You know, the professional players, I've been involved in a couple of things like that, and it's not very pleasant, but you certainly get over it in time for the match, and that's the most important thing to do. I would be very, very surprised if that affected them playing as poorly as they did. I would be amazed if that was the case.
It doesn't affect different players differently?
Well, obviously it does. I mean, everything affects everybody else differently. Yeah. But I mean, the professional footballers, you're brought up to be a professional footballer. You don't just go to be a professional footballer on a night like last night. And you're used to all sorts of things, and it's a type of life that you have your ups and downs in it, and you're as a pro, you're brought up to handle anything that happens before a match. That apart from on the pitch, of course, which is a different thing altogether. But I was involved in one or two things like that in Naples one time, and it didn't affect the players that I played with on the night.
Right. The opening stages to the game then, the way Liverpool got at City and hassled them and harried them and were able to dispossess them, and the way they scored their goals and the intensity of that. Do you sense that surprised City, that Liverpool were able to get to that level?
Well, I think it surprised me that they did, but I think City played very, very badly, Nathan. Liverpool did their stuff. I'm not taking anything away from them. But, David Silva, for example, De Bruyne, and that, giving the ball away stupidly. Sana had a nightmare. That was very unlike Manchester City. But if you keep giving the opposition the ball, now Liverpool are very good at getting the ball back anyway, but if you're giving it to them without having to really fight for it, then it's disaster time. Now Liverpool took full advantage of it, and that's very, very good from Liverpool's point of view. But it wasn't as if Liverpool hassled them brilliantly and won the ball off them all the time. They did a certain amount of that. But City contributed to their own downfall in a much larger way than Liverpool actually getting the ball back from them.
City have been so good during the Premier League, and they can win the league this Saturday afternoon. It'll be the earliest any team has won the Premier League title, and they've been crushing most of the opposition, and they generally have... They can run the show, and De Bruyne and Silva have all the time in the world against lesser teams to basically do whatever they want with it. Can that come back to haunt you on nights like this where you're just not prepared? You've almost had it too easy for too long.
Well, it can be a factor, but I wouldn't say that was the factor last night. And it doesn't happen. That really doesn't happen to the best teams, Nathan, because they know going to Liverpool, the atmosphere that's there, it's not going to be like playing Everton last week. While Everton were poor and Manchester City were very good. You have to be up for the game. You have to expect this is the atmosphere that we're in, and this is what we have to do, and this is why you have to up your game. City didn't do that. Actually, they downed their game, if that's the right word for it. Gave the ball away silly. They don't normally do, and Liverpool definitely took full advantage of it, and you've got to give Liverpool credit for that.
Were you surprised by Guardiola's team selection, leaving Sterling on the bench, starting Gundogan?
I was. I thought, Sterling's been playing well. I think he's had a lot of stick when he's gone back to Anfield in the previous matches. But there again, you get over that. He's a pro. Like the crowd having a go at you can't do any harm to you. It's just verbal stuff. So I was surprised that Sterling's been scoring goals for him, been playing well recently. To trust him to take that atmosphere and play in that atmosphere.
Liverpool were totally dominant then at half-time. Even after half an hour, they were 3-0 up. The second half was a very different game, with Manchester City really controlling the game inside Liverpool's half. Liverpool, a lot of last gaps defending. They held out. Were you surprised, having seen Jurgen Klopp over the last couple of years, that Liverpool didn't try and kick on and push for a fourth goal and maybe even take a few more risks? Or did they take the right attitude in that second half?
Well, the result was very, very good. And it was a 3-0, and obviously would have settled for that before the match. I was a little bit surprised that he didn't get at Manchester City more than he did, because that's been his reputation. I think that was probably the most thing I admired about him more than anything else. That when he has a team down, he has them down, and he really gets at them and keeps at them and keeps at them. He didn't do that last night. Now it'll take a week or so to prove whether he was right or wrong, Nathan. If he gets the result next week at Manchester City, then I will definitely say, yeah, he was right and do that. But it's not nailed on. And like part of me says last night, I think he could have nailed it on. I think if he'd kept going at Manchester City the way he did in the first half, he had them. Like, he had them by the neck. And I was a bit surprised, or more than a bit surprised, that he didn't take advantage of that. And it could come back to haunt him next week. 3-0 is a great win. It's a great lead. But it can be a strange game, and I wouldn't rule Manchester City out now from next week. Liverpool have to be favourites, of course, but it can happen, Nathan. And next week we could be saying Liverpool could be saying we should have taken advantage in the second half.
Could that be a sign that Klopp has actually learned some lessons from the way they've conceded goals this season? You think back to the 4-3 at Anfield a few months ago when they were 4-1 up, and it did seem as though they were pushing for a fifth and really trying to get at Manchester City, and they left themselves exposed at the back, that he was very worried about giving up that away goal, that ultimately the clean sheet was everything once they'd gone 3 up. Well,
it could well be. I mean, you could say he's taken a more pragmatic approach to it, and maybe that's the way he should be doing it. But the big thing for Liverpool, in my opinion, I mean, there's some matches that he's lost where he was in a good position, but there was a lot of matches because of the way he played and his attitude got him where they are, Nathan, which is to go, go, go. I mean, when he came over for us, I described him as a one-trick pony with a good trick. Now, I think the second half last night, there was no trick. It was, right, we're going to hang on to this 3-0 lead. Now, it could prove to be right, and we'll know next Tuesday night, but I just have slight doubts about it, because I thought he'll go for it. No matter what the score is, he's going to go for it. And I think he really had them last night, Manchester City. Now, he's got a 3-0 lead. It should be enough, but we don't know yet.
We've raved about Silva and De Bruyne for weeks and months at this stage, and just how good they've been and their influence on Manchester City this season. Watching them then last night, why do you think they couldn't exert that sort of influence in the middle of midfield?
Well, the reason they didn't do it is because they kept giving the ball away, Nathan. Now, why they were giving the ball away, I don't know, because they don't normally do that, and they normally play very well. But they weren't the only ones. I mean, they were the two experienced midfield players who usually play it very, very well. But they kept giving the ball away. Sane on the left wing had a nightmare, gave it away nearly every time he got it. So there was and that went through the Manchester City side. They all gave the ball. It's called playing very, very badly. They played very, very badly last night, particularly in the first half. Second half, they came into the game because Liverpool allowed them to come into it, and Liverpool held on well. But in the first half, Liverpool did get at them, but it wasn't Liverpool getting them at them. In my opinion, it was the major source of their downfall. It was giving the ball away themselves. And if you give the ball away, Nathan, then you're giving it to the opposition. And they haven't been doing that all season. They've been doing it very, very well, keeping the ball, being very dangerous, Sane beating players. That wasn't there last night. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know, Nathan, but all I know is what I see, like everybody else, that it was a very, very poor performance from Manchester City.
On that line then that you used about Jurgen Klopp, that maybe he was a one-trick pony, but it was a very good trick.
Yeah.
What you saw in that second half last night and over the 90 minutes, are there signs that maybe he is learning, maybe there is going to be more to Liverpool than just this all-out rampant attack?
Well, there was last night, and it's the first time I've seen it. Because normally when they've had to defend, they haven't defended very well. But they did defend very well, because they gave Manchester City the ball. They were 3-0 up, and they weren't too bothered about attacking in the second half. Now, whether he's going to continue to do that, I don't know. Whether it ultimately proves to be the right way for the way that he believed, in my opinion, since he's come to the club, remains to be seen. But they certainly have to defend better than they did up to last night. And what happened last night, maybe he will say in future, right, when we get in front again, we'll go defensively. But I think that's against all his principles of what he's shown so far, Nathan. That's what confuses me a little bit about the Klopp situation last night.
And is that one of the reasons why you feel maybe this tie isn't over yet? That where most teams going away from home with a 3-0 lead, you go there with that attitude of we just don't concede, we set up shop. Whereas that's just not in Liverpool's nature to do that for 90 minutes.
Well, it hasn't been so far. If he goes next week and parks the bus, as they say, from minute one, that's not the club that's got Liverpool, in my opinion, to where they are today.
Is that what he should do?
Well, I don't know, to be honest, because I don't know whether they're going to be good enough to do that for 90 minutes. I mean, what they have been good at, that's proven to be good for them, and most of the times, is to go. Go for the opposition, go for the opposition. That's what got them there last night in the first half. Now, whether he's going to change that or not, I don't know, Nathan. But if he goes with that attitude to Manchester City next week, that's a dramatic change from the philosophy that is shown, I believe, even in Germany, from all his managerial career.
From Pep Guardiola's point of view, he hasn't been to a Champions League final since 2011, and despite managing some of the best teams in the world, they've taken some big beatings over the last few years in the knockout stages of the Champions League. Does he now need to look at the way he sets up his teams for games like this, or with this Manchester City team, can you put it down as a one-off, that they were just flat on the night?
I think it's been a one-off so far, Nathan. It was just a bad performance. I mean, it's only a few matches ago that we played Everton and played them off the pitch. Absolutely brilliant. And most of the matches they have, I mean, this is the worst we've seen them play this season by a long way. And that's out of character to what they have been doing. So you'd have to write it off as a bad night. I mean, Guardiola doesn't become a bad manager overnight, and certainly Manchester City, with the players they have and what they've done, suddenly don't become a bad team. We'll have to wait now and respond. How are they going to respond on Saturday, and how are they going to respond next week? I mean, if they're the team, don't forget, it's only last week that people were talking about Manchester City as being the best Premier team ever. Now, that's exaggerated as well, but you don't become the worst Premiership team ever after one match, Nathan.
Yeah.
They've got a bit to do, but I think there's more to Manchester City than we saw last night, because that's only the second time I think they've been beaten this season by Liverpool on the two occasions. But in other matches, they've been absolutely brilliant. They played teams off the pitch, including Spurs and all the other top teams. So you can't say because they had a bad night last night, well, Guardiola's useless and Manchester City are not what they were. After one match, it doesn't happen that way, and I'd be very surprised if they didn't come back strongly.
Do you sometimes have that as a team, that there's one other side who just the way they set up don't suit you? That you look at Manchester City and their style of play, it works against everybody in the Premier League. We've seen that, just with the exception of Liverpool, that the way Liverpool set up with the pace of their three strikers, that actually you need to take on a completely different game plan just for that one opposition.
No, what I must say, Nathan, is that wasn't typical Manchester City last night. Manchester City gave the ball away time after time after time, which had something to do with Liverpool, but not that much. They were in good positions in lots of occasions, gave it away. Sane couldn't do anything with the ball. They just had a bad night, which can happen. It can happen. Now, it was unexpected, and they played very, very badly, but it can happen. I mean, I had a bit of experience with Leeds United in 1968-69. We won the league, 42 matches, we were beaten in 2 matches, and we won the league with record points. We went to against Burnley, who were an average team, in I think it was around September, October time, and we got a hide, and I think it was 5-1.
Right.
5-1. We never lost another match for the rest of the season, but it happened to us on that day. And we were up for it. We thought we were up for it. Burnley played exceptionally well. It was one of those days, but we picked it up again the next match. I'd be surprised if City don't pick it up for the weekend and also for next week. I think that you don't become a great side overnight, and you don't become a bad side overnight, Nathan. And they've been a very, very good side. I wouldn't say that they're the best ever, but they're certainly been the best team by a long way in the Premiership this year. And they did have a bad night, but you don't lose everything on one night. It was a bad defeat for them. It was a great win for Liverpool. I don't want to take anything away from Liverpool. You'd have the Liverpool supporters ringing in. I thought they played brilliantly. They took advantage of it last night, deserved to win. But from Manchester City's point of view, I'd be surprised if they don't come back strong.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that Manchester derby, the Merseyside derby as well. And I also want to talk to you about the passing of Ray Wilkins in a moment. John Giles is on the line. 53106 is the text number.
Off the ball on News Talk.
So, there you are on appliancesdelivered.ie. Delighted with yourself because you found a bargain on a new oven when you think, hang on, how am I going to install it? I don't know any electricians. No? Well, we do. At appliancesdelivered.ie, we're now offering installation on all cooking appliances by fully qualified electricians. So now you can have your new appliance delivered and installed at the same time. Plus, we'll take away your old appliance for free. Sure, if we could cook the food for you, we'd probably do that as well. Selected areas, T's and C's apply. Appliancesdelivered.ie. Why pay more?
This week at M&S, indulge in a delicious dine-in for two with a main, side, dessert and a bottle of wine for just €14. M&S. Spend it well. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply, subject to availability. Over 18s only. Please drink responsibly. See in store for details.
Murphy's Law, Article 214. When your toddler learns to flush things down the toilet, they'll start with your keys.
When anything that can go wrong does go wrong, you need a simple solution. 123.ie Comprehensive Car Insurance has you covered when your keys are given an unexpected tour of your pipes. Simply put, we'll replace them as soon as possible. Key replacement is now free with new Comprehensive Car Insurance. Buying online saves you 10%. 123.ie. Simple is smarter. Acceptance criteria, T's and C's apply. 123 Money Limited, trading as 123.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. RSA Insurance Ireland DAC provides 123.ie car insurance. Free key care is a limited offer with a cover limit of €1,500.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're very welcome back. John Giles is still on the line. Just before we leave Liverpool and Manchester City then, John, we have the Merseyside and Manchester derby this weekend. They've both really been overshadowed by these European games, but City can win the title with a win at home against Manchester United. If you're in Pep Guardiola's position, do you want to go out and put out a very strong team against United and hope that you win the title, you get the momentum back and you bring that into Tuesday night? Or after a game as intense in that, do you just need to give lads a rest and have people fresh for next Tuesday?
Well, yeah, it is a strange one, Nathan. I think he will go with a strong team. I think he'll want a response to last night, and the last thing we'd want is to be beaten by Manchester United at the weekend, and then we said, City have blown up, and all the various things that can happen from a morale point of view. I think he will go with a strong team to win the match and get the Liverpool bad performance out of the hair.
I want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo as well. Just how good was that overhead kick?
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's not many people can do that in the world of football. But funny enough, Nathan, from my point of view, looking at it, I enjoyed the first goal even better.
Why?
It was technically, first of all, he had to get into the right position in a crowded penalty area, which he's brilliant at. And when he was striking the ball, I thought the best place he could put it would be in the near post. And he got it into the far post. And if you see it in slow motion again, he actually got a flick of the outside of his right foot to get it into the far corner. I've never seen that happen before. He had to get into the right position as he normally does, reads it well for the cross to come with the ball to come across. It wasn't an easy one, and he was able to get it the outside of his right foot. I don't know how he did it, and hit it with fair about enough pace, obviously, to get into the far side of the goal. The second one was really, really spectacular. There's an overhead kick. The two goals were brilliant. Actually, Ronaldo on the night was the difference between the two teams, because Juventus played pretty well, but they couldn't. They didn't get the goal scoring opportunities, or didn't have the goal scorer like Ronaldo to do what he did. So it was really, really important. The goals he scored the other night were really, really important goals and brilliant goals.
As a striker, is he the sort of striker you'd love to play behind, where you know he's going to be in position, his awareness, the fact, as you've often pointed out, maybe he's not too bothered at this stage about getting involved in the game in other ways, that actually, if you can give him the ball, you know he's going to deliver? You'd
live with him, Nathan. Like when he started out first, now my attitude wasn't as kind to him as it is now, because I thought he was lazy. I thought he didn't care about his colleagues, and it was all about himself. It still is all about himself, but obviously the team benefits because of the goals he scored. So, like 10, 12 years ago, if I'd been playing with him, I think I would have been on his back all the time. Now I would leave him and say, okay, get on with it, because I know you're going to score 2 or 3 goals or 2 goals in any match. I'll put up with you, not me, but the team and his team colleagues. Look, you hang around, you do what you want. As long as you keep putting the ball in the net as regularly as you're doing and as brilliantly as you're doing, I live with that. And so will all the other players. He
just seems to be breaking more and more records, and you look at the statistics for goals scored this season in all competitions. Even with what Mo Salah's doing, he's ahead of Mo Salah, he's ahead of Lionel Messi. When you watch him playing in that sort of new role that he's developed into over the last 2-3 years as more of an out-and-out striker, do you sense he's still getting better in that role? He's still getting more awareness of what's expected and how to find space in the penalty area?
Well, it looks like it. He keeps scoring more and more goals from difficult positions, and like all great players, I mean, the older he gets, as long as he's physically okay, he should get better, because it's all experience. He's learned from matches as he goes along, and all the great players that I've known, actually, if they keep their fitness right, they're at their best in their 30s, because they have the experience. As long as the legs are okay to keep him going, which he obviously keeps himself very, very well, then you should get better and better.
I want to talk to you as well about Ray Wilkins, who sadly passed away, just 61. You played against Ray Wilkins in, I think it was his second ever international for England, a friendly at Wembley. What are your memories of him?
Well, first of all, I think I met him on just a few occasions. Very, very nice lad. Very nice lad. He was a very good player technically, Nathan. His passing was extremely good. He wasn't very quick. So in matches where he would be tightly marked, he would find it very difficult to lose his opposing player. But when he had time and space, he could use it as well as anybody else. He had good vision, but he wouldn't go past anybody. He wouldn't leave anybody for pace or anything. But technically, he was a very, very good player, and he was a good team player as well. But as an individual, I never heard anybody say a bad word of him. And my limited experience of him, I found him a very, very nice lad.
If he didn't have that pace then to go past people, was his game management, his awareness of where he should be on the pitch, was that very good?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, he got into the right positions and he could deliver the ball well. He was a very, very good distributor of the ball, very good passer of the ball, Nathan.
Before we leave you then, the Merseyside derby, and that's our live game on Saturday morning. Similar situation to Manchester City, and with Liverpool 3-0 up, do you expect Jurgen Klopp almost assured of top 4? They make a lot of changes?
Well, he alluded to it last night. Actually, he was having a bit of a moan about playing on Saturday morning after having one of the great victories of all time. But I think he alluded to himself that it's a difficult decision. It's a derby match. The supporters like to beat Everton. Is it the right thing to do for Tuesday? I wouldn't be surprised if he made quite a few changes, Nathan.
Just try and freshen it up.
I think Tuesday will be on his mind more so, and I think Everton are not pulling up any trees at the moment, so he might be able to make a few changes, rest a few players, and still beat Everton.
John, great stuff as always. We will see you in D2 here in Dublin on Saturday night. You'll be alongside Clinton Morrison watching the Manchester derby, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Look forward to that, Nathan. See you then.
Great stuff, John. John Giles there. 53106 is the text number. Up next, we're going to have a special Thursday night rugby, and also every week we want to reward your best rugby comments of the week. You can text us, tweet us, whatever you want. Give us your best shot, and each Friday we're going to choose the Heineken Star comment of the week. You'll be in with a chance of winning some great prizes, match tickets, roadshow tickets, Heineken goodies and more. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll bring you the rugby, and also we'll bring you down through all the day's football and the latest at the Masters as well.
The News Talk app is News Talk in your pocket. Download it now.
Ever wonder who first called Dog's man's best friend? It was Frederick the Great in 1789. He loved his dog so much, he was even buried beside them. Now, Frederick was a controversial character, but he was right about these wonderful companions. As Irish guide dogs can tell you, they've trained 2,000 of these future heroes, helping people with visual impairment or families of children with autism live fuller lives with their new best friend. So do something great today.
Visit guidedogs.ie and give what you can. Irish Guide Dogs, proudly sponsored by Ford.
Looking for great prices on technology? Well, at Harvey Norman, we've got hundreds of products reduced in-store. Or shop online today. Harvey Norman, your technology specialists.
Go, Harvey, go! They're sitting joint top of their FIFA World Cup qualifying group following great results away from home versus Slovakia, Northern Ireland and the current European champions, the Netherlands.